What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Sports Guide. Today we are going to be doing something new.
What is going on? What are you doing?
10 impact players you've probably forgotten about in the past 10 years. With that being said, let's start.
Football!
Number 10, Stevie Johnson. Stevie Johnson is a guy not many people remember unless you were truly a Bills fan. From 2010 to 2012, which is 3 NFL seasons, Johnson went on a complete tear for the Bills, producing 3 straight 1,000-yard seasons. He would average about 79 catches over that span and averaged 1,041 yards per year. Not to mention those years he put up those decent numbers were with Ryan Fitzpatrick as a quarterback in the beginning years when Fitzpatrick was awful. He also averaged a 56.1 catch percentage alongside 13.2% yards per reception. So every time he got the ball, he basically got a first down and then some. Moving on, we have Carlos Dansby at number 9. A lot of people have forgotten about this tackling machine. He averaged 107 tackles a year from 2010 to 2017, and he played all the positions at linebacker. He played the Mike, the Will, and the Sam. Dansby played for Arizona, Miami, the Browns, and Cincinnati. He created 13 total turnovers from 2010 to 2017. He also averaged 2 sacks a year with a high of a 6.5 sack season in 2013. Another stat people don't know is those 7 years he played, he also had 54 passes defended from a linebacker. That's incredible for being a linebacker that no one really ever talked about. He maybe wasn't the most exciting player to watch, but the bottom line is he put up respectable numbers. The next player we have on this list is Paul Posluszny. Going back to another linebacker, this guy only played for 2 teams, the Bills and the Jaguars. This guy was a legit tackling machine more than Dansby. He averaged 121 tackles a year. He wasn't your coverage linebacker. He was your prototypical linebacker who stopped the run and would also get about 2 sacks a season. He also averaged 6 tackles a loss per year. He was one of those linebackers who was hard-nosed and a gritty player. Finally, moving on to the offensive side of the ball, we have the running back, Michael Turner. This guy is a guy who a lot of people don't even remember, but he was one hell of a running back. Michael Turner made this list only playing his last 3 seasons in the NFL because this guy just produced tremendous numbers. He had a total of 34 touchdowns in 3 years. He put up 3,892 total yards in those 3 seasons with a total of 905 touches. He wasn't really a receiving factor, but he was heavily factored in the run game. Turner was a key part in the Falcons offense, and not a lot of people remember him. Number 6, Glover Quinn. He was a safety who covered really well and got key turnovers. He averaged about 3 interceptions a season with about a fumble a year, and he also averaged 74 tackles a year. He played corner for a year, and then he was moved to safety. In 2014, he really broke out with 7 interceptions and 73 tackles, with 2 of them being tackles for losses. He was more known as a cover safety, but obviously looking at his numbers, he could tackle well too. Number 5, Tamba Ali. This guy, he was somewhat well known, but it feels like forever since we saw number 91 running around in the Chiefs uniform. Tamba Ali qualifies for this list by playing up until 2017. He was the main pass rusher in Kansas City through those rough years they had. He averaged 3 fumbles a year, nearly 8 sacks a year, and 9 tackles for losses a year, and 15.5 quarterback hits a year. He maybe wasn't the best, but he certainly was a very good player. His last year playing, he didn't play many snaps, which hurt his averages tremendously, but nevertheless, he did play. Number 4, Elvis Dumervil. This guy was definitely well known, but kind of just vanished, and again, not many people remember him. So let's dive into the averages. He averaged 2 fumbles a year, with a high of 6 in 2012. He averaged 9 sacks a year, not including his first 4 NFL seasons. He averaged 8 tackles for losses and 18.5 quarterback hits per year. Again, we're only counting from 2010 to 2020. Dumervil truly put up dominant numbers and never really got the love and appreciation he deserved. He could play defensive end or 3-4 outside linebacker. Number 3 goes to a top 5 corner for most of his NFL career. Brent Grimes came from a no-name college. He wasn't the biggest, he wasn't the fastest, and he wasn't the strongest. But this dude was an absolute stud. All Falcons fans can agree with this. Grimes just straight up locked down the opposing wide receivers, and that was it. I always had him in my top 5 corners through the prime years of his career. He averaged 3 interceptions a year with 51 tackles a year. Maybe not the most eye-flashing numbers, but this is really about how he would lock down the opponents. Towards the end of his career is when he would get burned, but this guy was just a quiet stud. Number 2, Charles Tillman. So the only reason I didn't give this guy number 1 was because he was more well known, but like the others, we tend to forget about what a force Tillman truly was. Tillman played until 2015, so from 2010 to 2015, here are his averages. He averaged 3 interceptions a year with a high of 5 in 2010. He averaged 9 passes defended in those years. Tillman to me was a safety who played corner. He averaged 4 forced fumbles a year with a high of 10 in 2012. I mean, wow, that's really impressive. He averaged 62 tackles a year and 2 tackles for losses a year. He played well in both man and zone, and he really was consistent throughout his whole entire career. Maybe he wasn't one to be a top 5 corner, but he easily was a top 10 corner every year that he played. Number 1, John Abraham. Doing my research, I was admittedly shocked he played for as long as he did. I also was just as shocked seeing the numbers that this guy put up. And let me just say, wow, this guy was a beast. He fits into the 10-year mold. He played in 2010 to 2014. And in those years, he averaged 4 fumbles a year, 11 sacks a year, 14 tackles for losses a year, and 17 quarterback hits a year. All those numbers were when he was above 32 years old. Throughout his whole entire career, he really wasn't a well-known player, but he continued to be a major factor until he retired. He might not have been the biggest or fastest, but he got to the quarterback and disrupted many plays. Hey sports fans, and thanks for watching the Sports Guide. If you haven't already, subscribe and join the team for news, highlights, predictions, debates, and mailbag. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter. All the links are down below in the description. And don't forget to hit the like button and leave us a question or two. Thanks guys, our next video is dropping soon.